One of the nightmares for the Conservatives running up to the election in May is that there's some kind of winter crisis in the NHS. So figures today showing that A&E targets are being missed are hardly welcome to the government, even if you can argue about whether the actual word crisis should be used right now. The figures raise the question as to why it is so hard in general to manage A&E services and why it is so hard in particular this year. This might turn out to play a big part in the election campaign. Chris Cook, our policy editor, joins me. Chris, just in sort of data terms, you're a data man. I mean, how bad is what they're seeing in A&E at the moment? It's
very grim. We haven't actually seen results this bad before since we started collecting these results over the last 10 years. In short, we measure A&Es on one very big important target. That's we expect 95% of patients to be seen, treated, and then either admitted or discharged within 4 hours of getting to the hospital. In Christmas week, so just a week gone by, it was down at 86% at our major A&Es. That's a long way off the target. We've never seen that kind of number really before. And we always have bad winters, we should point out. But actually, if you look at Christmas week from the year before that, it was still up at 95%. We're still up at the target. It's also quite important to stress that this hasn't happened because the hospitals are doing less. In fact, if you look at the hospital outputs over those periods, the major hospitals got through 230,000 people in both of those weeks in the 4 hours. It's just that this time round, they had another 20,000 people on top who arrived in addition.
Now, look, I've heard, I don't know how many theories as to why there are 20,000 more people this year than last year. What is the best theory? Is it to do with social care and the difficulty of accommodating people in other forms?
That's right. Whatever the answer is, it's going to be a lot of things. You have to be clear. Right. But the best explanation for why it is that the NHS has had this sort of sudden step change in the number of people who aren't just turning up to A&Es, they're also sick enough in lots of cases to be admitted to hospitals, is that lots of these sort of soft social care sides of our health system have been struggling recently, and they're delivered mostly by local government, Meals on Wheels, that kind of thing, things that keep people hale and hearty in their homes and stop them, we hope, from drifting into hospitals.
The big general background to this is that A&E is quite different to everything else in a hospital. It's very hard to manage.
It is. So there are lots of things that... This sounds very banal, but one of the most fundamental things about an A&E is you don't book an appointment, you just turn up when you need it. So you can't manage it. And that's odd in a hospital. It's also odd in that there are no safety valves in the form of, say, private provision. So if you have a trouble as a hospital manager getting enough, say, hip replacements done, you can call up a local private hospital and get them to help out. You can't do that with A&E. There are other things too. So because you can't rearrange these people and you have to deal with them, you have to rearrange everything else the hospital does around it. So A&E crises actually sort of ripple out.
Filter through.
And the other big fundamental thing about all this is it's really, really hard to bring on new A&E capacity, in part because accident emergency is not a sort of glamorous, great lifestyle. It's a really tough job. You're sort of a social policy stormtrooper being an A&E doctor.
Yeah. Big challenge. Chris, thank you very much indeed.